what's happening in Ahmedabad, the fact that India is going to be hosting the next Commonwealth Games and in Ahmedabad. Let's talk about the infra of the city. What is it that it's going to mean and whether or not we're equipped for such a large event. Of course, there is a lot of time up until the Commonwealth Games, but let me talk about the dynamics at play. We've got Gulam Zia from Knight Frank joining in on the show right now. Gulam, great to have you on ET Now. Ahmedabad has been officially named the 2030 Commonwealth Games host. Tell me, what kind of footfalls can one expect for an event like this, and how would that translate into the requirement of infrastructure in Ahmedabad, like, metro, BRT, road expansion, especially when compared to Delhi's large additions before the Commonwealth Games in 2010?
Well, Ahmedabad has proven its mettle multiple times, whether it is rock concerts or the most prime cricket matches, etc. So this is a city which is ready. However, because the Commonwealth Games are going to expect almost about 1 million odd people to visit the city, the infrastructure still needs lots of work to be done. Like if I take the case of Delhi, where it had happened earlier, the city actually created its new terminal. It got multiple metro lines and the bypass roads and so on and so forth. Lots and lots of work was done. So while in Ahmedabad we are expecting the sports infrastructure itself to take about 20 odd thousand crore to create sports infrastructure, but multiple thereof would be required to put up all this civic infrastructure, and not to forget the real estate side of it, which is like hotel rooms, etc. We are expecting almost about 50 odd thousand rooms required to cater to the visitors who will be coming to attend the Commonwealth Game. So it's a big task, but I believe Ahmedabad is ready to face that task.
Right, Gulam, so 50,000 rooms will be needed on the back of this. How much private sector investment will be needed for new hotels?
Well, the way we see it currently, if you talk about multiple types of rooms, because when you're talking about these many numbers, it is not all going to be in a category of hotel rooms only. We currently see at least 10 to 15,000 of keys available in Ahmedabad to cater to this kind of a demand, but at least 3 times of that will be required. And let's not forget, while we are doing all this, the government will also create lots of infrastructure, like we have seen in case of Delhi, where we had the whole games village created, which was catering to a lot of these requirements, which in the long term, by way of legacy planning, are then brought back into real estate to cater to the housing demand of the city for the long-term period. But that legacy demand also will have to be seen. But all in all, the kind of investment from private sector we are looking at will be at least equal to, if not more than, what would be required for sports infrastructure, which will be at least about 40-50,000 crore of private investment also will be required to be poured in.
Okay, and Mr. Zia, also tell us a little bit about the Southwestern Ahmedabad Sports Arena and how that is going to be developed to facilitate the games.
Well, this is a specific region where most of the sporting activities will be planned in terms of those 5 or 6 new stadiums, etc., that are coming up for all kinds of games. All these infrastructures coming in this region that you highlighted. The region is already a very favored real estate destination with places like Bhopal, etc., a part of it. So we are looking at this whole area sprucing up. And typically, as we have seen in various examples earlier, the kind of boost it gives, the prices and the real estate values shoot up at least 10 to 15%. And that's what is expected here in case of Ahmedabad as well, with the existing real estate of Bhopal and the vicinity going to see this huge upward initiative of creating infrastructure, social and otherwise. We shall see a huge amount of real estate in this specific location as well.
So, what will be the level of tourism that will be required there, and what is the kind of infra that's supposed to come in there?
Well, The case of Delhi tells us that there we have seen about 20 to 25% increase in the tourism revenue when the previous Commonwealth Games happened over there in 2008 to 9. And that is same, something like in case of Ahmedabad, where existing tourism base is not as huge as it was in case of Delhi. So the multiplier effect in case of Ahmedabad will be much more. So while Delhi, which is a very established tourism destination, due to Commonwealth Games, saw about 20 odd percent of increase in tourism revenue. In case of Ahmedabad, where the existing tourism base is not as huge as Delhi, we are expecting the kind of increase that will happen in case of Ahmedabad would be multiple times, at least about twice or thrice of what kind of tourism revenue that exists today, that the city is gathering today, will be at least 2 to 3 times of that is what would be expected from the city of Ahmedabad.
Okay, and Mr. Zia, if you could help us understand, how can Ahmedabad ensure that this peak tourism pressure that we're expecting to see in terms of the footfall, or more than 1 million visitors, you did tell us. So how does this tourism pressure not overwhelm the existing hospitality infra in Ahmedabad? What steps can be taken for that?
Well, it's a very common example of sporting infrastructure giving a boost to a city's economy. And while we do see the kind of jobs created, etc., we are expecting at least 1 lakh job to be created for this specific sporting arena and the side activities, etc., that will happen because of that. But that kind of overall, it shows you what kind of growth Ahmedabad city is going to expect once Commonwealth Games happen here.
Okay. And lastly, Mr. Zia, what kind of long-term legacy value will the new sports and urban infra add to Ahmedabad's real estate landscape overall?
Well, as we spoke, the legacy is something which is required when, obviously, if you're talking about more than 1 lakh tourists coming in, and you will not be really creating more than 1 million tourists coming in, you'll not be creating hotel rooms for every individual. So you will have lots of these village arenas created, like in case of Delhi or even earlier in Pune, where we created Games Village, where there are these regular apartments created, which would be later on actually brought into the real estate stock of the city. So overall growth of city because of this legacy planning will also be included in the master planning of the overall games activity. And that, as I said earlier, will give a boost to the real estate sector of the city. And just if you take value as a parameter, the real estate values in the city are expected to shoot up by at least 20 to 30% due to this sporting event.
Thank you, Gulam Zia, for that update. We meanwhile,